My name is Paige, and I'm a physical therapy student at the University of Central Florida, and today I'm going to be doing an assessment of the elbow. And I start by doing two range of motions for the patient. I'm going to start with doing elbow flexion. Currently I have her just on a bolster right now, just so that the goniometer doesn't get in the way of anything when we're measuring. So her axis for elbow flexion is going to be her lateral epicondyle. Then I'm going to put the stationary arm along the humerus up towards the humeral head. And the movable arm is going to be going along the radius towards the radial styloid. Now for this range, I'm going to be doing this passively. So I'm going to go ahead and stabilize at the humerus, and then I'm going to move the patient into flexion as far as her elbow will allow. And looking at that, I've got a range of 150 degrees. What's considered normal is around 135. So since she has a little bit of extra flexion, it might be just due to not having any sort of soft tissues limiting her. So now I'm going to remove the bolster. I'm going to do another range of motion. This time is going to be of her forearm pronation. So I'm going to start her off in neutral. I'm going to go ahead and have you grab onto across your arm, just stabilize that for me. This is just so that I make sure that she's not compensating and she's stabilizing her upper arm. I'm going to use a smaller goniometer, and the axis for this is going to be the ulnar styloid. I'm going to have the stationary arm be perpendicular to the floor, and the movable arm is just going to go right across the dorsum of the wrist. This one I'm going to do actively, so Hillary, I want you to turn your hand over so that your palm is facing the floor. Good. And looking at that, I've got her right at 90 degrees, and 90 is what's considered normal for range of motion for pronation. So next I'm going to do some manual muscle testing. I'm going to start doing, the first one I'm going to do is manual muscle test of the brachioradialis. So I'm going to have you put your arm just like that. I'm going to just push into your elbow just to make sure that nothing gets in the way. I want you to bring your arm up to your shoulder. All right, she's able to do that against gravity, so that already gives her a 3 out of 3. Now I'm going to try to break you out with pulling in the line extension. And don't let me move you. Because I was able to do that against minimal and then maximal force, I would give her a 5 out of 5. And then I'm going to test forearm pronation strength. So I'm going to stabilize her upper arm to make sure that she isn't compensating with that for her movement. And I want you to go ahead and turn your arm so that your palm is facing the ground. Now she's able to do that, again, against gravity, so she's already got that 3 out of 5, excuse me. And then I'm going to grab on, and I'm going to pull her out of that into supination, so don't let me move you. All right, and that, once again, she wasn't able to move against those two pressures, so she would get a 5 out of 5 again. And last, I'm going to test a muscle length, so I'm going to have you scoot around so you're facing the wall. I'm testing the muscle length of the triceps. So I'll put the patient into flexion, shoulder flexion and elbow flexion. That's putting the triceps on stretch around both of its joints that it encompasses. I'm going to line up the goniometer using the same axis and arms that I used for previously testing her flexion, which is the lateral epicondyle, humerus, and radius along those lines. And looking at that, I've got her at 151 here. So it looks like because of that, it means that her triceps are not limiting anything in her elbow flexion by tightness.